Hello friends, I'm Phoebe. I'm on a music discovery journey and I would love for you to join me for the ride. Please like and subscribe if you like the sound of that. Now, I am behind on music in many ways. I've just missed out on so much. And one of the acts that I have only recently discovered is NIGHTWISH. I have become an instant fan, Exhibit A, and I want to listen to all of their stuff. I've only experienced Floor's vocals so far in terms of the female vocalists, and I will be venturing down other female vocalists. We'll be discovering those together, or I'll be sharing my discovery of those with you. I have been asked to review or react to the Poet and the Pendulum, I believe it's called. Now, I've been given a heads up before I do that to read about Tarja's departure from the band. It seems like it was a bit of a difficult situation, so I'm going to try and remain as impartial as I can or as neutral as I can, and understanding that there are two sides to stories, and understand that I don't want to be pointing the blame or accusing things of being a certain way. I understand that there is speculation for things that have been put in the public spotlight. I understand there were open letters, so that is what we're going to be reading and trying to make sense of today. But I would like to try and be as understanding as possible. These are real humans with real feelings, and I just feel like it's a good thing to be compassionate. I think it's fair to kind of think about how someone might feel if we're reading an open letter. As far as I understand, it was a very quick departure and she was kind of asked to leave. But that's all I know from the comments at the moment. Just a bit of background information, because some of you might not know who NIGHTWISH are. So NIGHTWISH are a symphonic metal band. They sound fantastic. Their writing is just incredible, and they have some of the most important writing, I think, for humankind. Having just recently listened to The Greatest Show on Earth, fully recommended, by the way. They're from Finland, or they originated in Finland, and they have had quite a few past members. They've been going since 1996. They have had, as far as I know, they had a few different female vocalists. It looks like Tarja was part of the original formation in 96, but I believe she left in 2005, I think. I brought up this little piece, so I'm going to read this from a louder article. It says, in 2005, NIGHTWISH seemed unstoppable. A year after the Symphonic Sensations had released their defining 2004 album. I'm reading this all wrong. In 2005, NIGHTWISH seemed unstoppable. A year after the Symphonic Metal Sensations had released their defining 2004 album Once, they exploded across Europe, supported Iron Maiden, and headed off on their biggest tour to date, playing to thousands of fans every night. On October 21st that year, the band rolled into Helsinki for what should have been a triumphant homecoming. For the 12,000 fans gathered at Helsinki's sold-out Hartwell Arena, it was a flawless showcase from a band fast becoming one of the biggest names in metal. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. Unknown to fans, tensions had been rising for months and were about to boil over in the most dramatic of fashions. Immediately after the Helsinki show, NIGHTWISH headed backstage where they presented then vocalist Tarja Turunen with a now infamous open letter, and fired her. I'm so sorry, my reading today, I've got a bit of a fuzzy brain. I'm I can only apologise. I like to do these without editing because I feel like it's more genuine, it's more natural, and this is how I would be talking to a friend. Except maybe I pronounce my T's a bit more. So this happened after they'd played a show. I am going to read this letter. I'm going to share with you the... I've just brought it up from the Nightwish wiki. So, okay. This is the open letter to Tarja announcing her dismissal from Nightwish. And then there is another one that we will look at because it looks like Tarja's responded. Dear Tarja, it's time to choose whether the story of Nightwish ends here or whether it will still continue an undetermined period of time. We've been working with this creation for 9 years and we are not ready to give it up yet. Nightwish is a way of life, something to live for, and we are certain we can't let it go. Equally certain is the fact that we cannot go on with you and Marcelo any longer. During the last year something sad happened, which I've been going over in my head every single day, morning and night. Your attitude and behaviour don't go with Nightwish anymore. There are characteristics I would never have believed to see in my old dear friend. People who don't talk with each other for a year do not belong in the same band. Oh, so they hadn't spoken properly for a year. This seems like it's coming from one person. Tuomus. Okay. We are involved in an industry where the business side of things is a necessary evil and something to worry about all the time. Gosh, yeah. Labels, people selling you a promise that is not real, people stabbing each other in the back. Lots of things can happen. There can be a lot of fake stuff going on in most industries, in fact. But yeah, I guess you've got to be careful. We are also a band which has always done music from the heart because of friendship and the music itself. The mental satisfaction should always be more important than money. Oh, for sure. I think that's with everything in life. I believe that, money is important to get by, but not when it comes to being greedy, being selfish, being evil with it. But it seems like this is kind of saying that has become an issue. Nightwish is a band. It's an emotion. To you, unfortunately, business, money, and things that have nothing to do with those emotions have become much more important. Oh. You feel like you have sacrificed yourself and your musical career for Nightwish, rather than thinking what it has given to you. This attitude was clearly shown to me in the 2 things you said to me in an airplane in Toronto. 1, I don't need Nightwish anymore. And 2, remember, Thomas, that I could leave this band at any time, giving you only 1 day's warning in advance. I can't simply write any more songs for you to sing. Oh, geez. I think it's so important that this line, thinking what it has given to you. One of my big things with even doing this, right? I'm so grateful we have so many people here supporting the channel, and I have so many people supporting what I do content wise, and so many people supporting what I do stream wise, and there are people that are only here for one band, one thing, and not actually here for me, and that's, you know what, that's fine. I can't make anyone want to be here. But what I want to, what's important to me is what this has allowed me to do, what people have given me, what I have benefited from in a far less greedy way. So there's a community here, and there's a community that I care so deeply about. There are friends that I've made over the years, I feel like people care about what I have to say. And I truly love that I can share my music finds with people who make me feel like I'm not, a nobody. I think that's really nice. So, yeah, that kind of just made me think about that. And whilst it's money can be great because it can allow you to do things more, there's a very fine line between when you start demanding it, or that's what dictates everything. So that was important to me. I've just for going off on a tangent, I wanted to touch on that because I feel it's important. You have said yourself that you are merely a guest musician in Nightwish. Now that visit ends and we will continue Nightwish with a new female vocalist. It does feel a bit abrupt. If I were reading this as Tarja, it feels very abrupt. We're sure this is an equally big relief to you as it is for us. Perhaps this was they thought it would be mutual. Perhaps if they haven't spoken for a year, perhaps they just thought, where is this going? We can't go on like this. So maybe she read it thinking, I was expecting that. Maybe she didn't. We're sure this is an equally big relief to you as it is for us. We have all been feeling bad long enough. You told us that no matter what, the next Nightwish album will be your last one. However, the rest of us want to continue as long as the fire burns. So there's no sense in doing that next album with you either. The four of us have been going over this situation countless times, and we have realised that this is the thing we want to do in life. It's all we do. In December 2004 in Germany, you said that you will never tour again for more than 2 weeks at a time. You also said that we can forget about the US and Australia because the fees and the sizes of venues are too small. I feel like all of this in a public letter is a bit... it's a lot. Because it could also cause outrage to people for reading that, which I can understand at the same time, but it almost feels like it's an accusatory. It's saying, you said this, and whilst it could be factual, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is either, because I don't know. I don't know the actual facts. I'm just reading this letter. But what they are saying is, this is what you said. And people will read that and go, oh, F that person. Look, they said forget about us in the US or forget about us in Australia. So that is, that could be damaging as well. And I really hope, but I can imagine this would have caused a bit of uproar in people, and there might have been consequences for that in terms of people lashing out and people sending messages or worse even because of what has been said here. In interviews I've mentioned that if Tarja leaves, that would be the end of the band. I understand that people think this way. People will think this way. Nightwish is, however, a scenery of my soul, and I'm not ready to let go because of one person. A person who wants to focus her creativity to somewhere else. A person whose values don't match mine. We were never bothered by the fact that you didn't participate in writing/arranging songs. You never in 9 years came to rehearse the songs with us before going to the studio. Not the fact that while on tour you always wanted to fly separately from us with your husband. Not the fact that you were an undisputable front image of the band. We accepted and felt okay about everything except greed, underestimating the fans, and breaking promises. It's important to them, isn't it? It's important to them because when you're a band, so I can see where they're coming from as well. When you're in a band, you feel like you have a duty to, give the people what they want, give the fans what they want, and be honest and upfront with them. So that is also important. And if someone is making that difficult or causing issues where they can't deliver, that really brings the rest of them down. So if that were happening, I can understand that too. And they want to play to fans, regardless of fees and sizes of venues being small. People in the US and Australia are just as important. They're part of the fan base that have clearly been there for many years. It was agreed by the 5 of us that Nightwish would be the priority in everything that we do during 2004 to 2005. Still, so many things were more important to you. The ultimate example being the already sold out show in Oslo, which you wanted to cancel because you needed to rehearse for your solo concerts, meet friends and go to the movies. Those were the words Marcelo used in an email explaining the cancellation. This being just one example of so many. I couldn't think of a worse way to begin. I couldn't think of a worse way of being selfish and dismissing our fans. That's rough. That's rough. Nightwish is a way of life and a job with many obligations to each other and to the fans. With you, we can't take care of those duties anymore. He's given examples. This is a good case to give examples, and if these are true, then there's a lot of evidence there or reason behind why they're doing this. So he is kind of explaining why and what and how this has all come about. It's not just we don't want you and the band anymore. It's we have had to make this decision based on blah blah blah. Very difficult because they've worked together for so long, but also it seems like they were growing apart in some ways from what this says. Deep within, we don't know which one of you drove us to this point. Oh, as in Marcelo? Marcelo is her partner, who was also her manager, their manager. Deep within, we don't know which one of you drove us to this point. Somehow Marcelo has changed you from the lovely girl you were into a diva who doesn't think or act the way she used to. You are too sure of your irreplaceableness and status. It's obvious that you blame your stress and misery on us four, and you think we don't respect or listen to you. Believe us, we have always had the uppermost respect towards you as a wonderful vocalist and as a friend, and very often during the past couple of years the plans were made according to your decisions only. You were always the one who wanted more money from the shows. This compensation and more money from everything attitude is a fact that we are most disappointed of. Oh, we wish that from now on you will listen to your heart instead of Marcelo. Oh, cultural differences combined with greed, opportunism, and love is a dangerous combination. Do not wither yourself. The decision is not something we are especially proud of, but you gave us no choice. God, that's heartbreaking, really. The gap between us is too wide, and the decision is made by us four unanimously. That must be hard to read. That would be hard for me to read, no matter what the case were. Because it feels like there's been no hey, we should sit down and talk about this together. And maybe they've tried, maybe they've wanted to, but they were not allowed, or they were dismissed. So we don't know that detail either. I say either or either. It depends on what I'm saying, but I believe they both fit. We are beyond the point where things could be settled by talking. Right, okay. I speculate before reading the next bit that answers the question. It's part of my brain function. All the best for your life and career. Tuomas Holopainen. Is that how we say it? Or Painen? Or Panen? And then the rest of the band as well. Right. P.S. This is an open letter for everybody. Goodness me. That's a lot. There's a lot of saying this is what you did. This is what you said. And this is why we feel like we can't go on. So then we have open letter from Tarja. Since last Sunday morning, I've been asked to express my position by magazines, newspapers, radio and TV stations, fan clubs and fans from Finland and from all over the world. So many in total that it's physically impossible for me to find the time to reply to them all individually. Hence, I decided to put down a couple of words in this text to let my fans, family and friends and the public know how I feel after the recent events. I can imagine there would have been a massive outpour of questions and like she has said, she has been approached by so many different entities that could be overwhelming. Also going through all of this, again, whether or not it's true, it must have been difficult to read that letter and know that it's public and know that is it. There's no let's sort this out, there's no let's try and move forward. I guess if she has said that she has no plans to carry on after a certain point, they have kind of said, well, why do that? And I guess it's for like for things to feel a bit more final for her as well. If she said that she wanted to do one more album, perhaps she wanted that to kind of close the chapter and round it off rather than be cut off like this, is probably how that would feel. But I'm just speculating. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about how people would feel. And I can also imagine that the band themselves must feel disappointed if they're unable to kind of get through to her how they feel. And it seems like they feel like her husband has changed her a little bit. People change, different influences, but doesn't mean it's good. Okay, so this is a moment of grief and pain, and I find it very hard to speak. At the moment I'm in Argentina. I hope you can understand that after this shocking life change comparable to a divorce, I didn't want to stay alone at home in Finland. My husband had booked his tickets to Argentina many months ago, and I had decided to travel with him at the last minute. But the fact that I'm in Argentina and the long distance should of course not be an excuse to not comment on the situation. Last Friday, 21st of October, was a day the whole band had been waiting for a long time. Practice started early in the morning. I was very sick and nervous because of the fact I was not even able to sing during the rehearsals. Also nervous because the concert programme was going to be longer than usual for a Nightwish concert. Oh my goodness. Furthermore, we were going to have a special guest to perform with us. More wardrobe changes for myself than usual, and for the first time big screens and a bigger production on stage. Not to forget that the concert was going to be recorded and filmed. The five of us had finally made it to play Hartwell Arena. Even though every one of us knew in advance that the concert was sold out, finally on stage we saw that screaming, applauding and standing people took every seat. The feeling was unbelievable. I'll never forget how amazing it was to experience the Finnish audience's gorgeous reception. When the concert was over, I cried of happiness on stage, happy tears because I was able to do my best as always, even though I was sick. Happy tears because our long tour got the greatest possible ending, and happy tears because of the best recognition an artist can get, applause and smiling faces. At that moment, I didn't know that I was going to cry again soon. After the concert, the guys of the band invited me backstage to join them and asked me to hug all together. This felt strange as it was the same kind of hug we traditionally came together before every concert. Before every concert. That tradition remained between us, even though the tension and increasing pressure already existed since a long period of time. The immediate feeling in me was to thank them, which I did loudly but without any reply. After this, they gave me the letter and asked me to read it to the following day, the same letter that is now public. I read it and was shocked. I didn't know what to say, and still at the moment that I am writing these lines, I don't. I sense great anger in that letter, and I continue to have very confused feelings about it, but I don't want to reply to this anger with an even greater anger. Private matters should never be taken to the public. Yeah, I find that strange. It's a choice that was made to do it for whatever reason. I guess, like they said, they felt that talking wasn't going to cut it. But at the same time, if they had said, right, we need to sit down and talk, or we're going to have to write an open letter that will be public, I don't know, that kind of sounds like a threat. But in a calmer way, in a way that's like, hey, we really need to talk about this. But then I guess they made the decision. They didn't feel like it was going to change, but then didn't give it a chance at the same time. I don't know, it's difficult. Like, I guess you can see from both sides. From the information we have, you can see from both sides how this might feel. But at the same time, yeah, the public thing just feels very strange. And some could say it's letting everyone know, letting the fans know. But that could also feel like manipulation of the fans, or on one hand, it could feel like that. It could feel like they have a right to know. But from Tarja's perspective, that can feel like, oh, feeding me to the wolves, in a way. Like, it could feel unfair in her eyes, and quite a drastic measure. I really hope that people were sensible about it and didn't jump to conclusions or attack. But it can be very difficult when things like this, when people feel very emotional about things, or they might jump to conclusions, or they might not think about how one might feel going through all of this. We can be sad that someone's left a band. We can be upset that it's turned out like this. At the end of the day, they are humans, and for whatever reason they didn't get on, and that's an unfair reason to want them to continue. But knowing that they were good together when they were good together, I can understand that would That would feel upsetting, of course. Responding in anger doesn't help either. I know that much. I know this moment we are going through is very sad for everybody, including the guys. Yeah. While there would have been so many different possibilities and ways to express what they wanted to tell me with the letter, I remain unable to understand the way they chose to handle this. I'm sorry that the guys got me so wrong. I don't recognise myself at all from the way they described me. They mentioned mean things about me, but the fact that they involved Marcelo, my husband, crossed the line. He is the man I love, my friend, and has been my biggest support over the last years. There is a thing called rejection sensitivity dysphoria as well. Even if, whether the things are true or not true, to have someone say this about anyone, you would feel upset, you would feel hurt, you feel betrayed. And rejection sensitivity dysphoria can make that feel a lot more intense and a lot more difficult to deal with. I go through rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and it can be apparent in many different situations. It's not just someone rejecting you as in a very clear way. It could be someone just saying, "Oh, can you be quiet, please?" or giving you a mild criticism that might not be very constructive, and it can be easy to take it to heart very quickly. And I've had to learn over the years how to deal with that and how to just take a step back, understand what is going on, and then deal with it without thinking, oh my God, they hate me. They don't want to be my friend anymore. They don't want to know me anymore. You know, it can be quite a dramatic response that is actually just, oh, I was mildly annoying there, and if I just don't carry that on, then they're fine. We're fine. We're still friends. So yeah, that could also make it very difficult. So she's saying that Marcelo is supporting her. I have seen people change with relationships or influences of other friends or groups. So that is very much, or can be, a thing. I don't know if that actually happened with Tarja, but I understand that that's what they are saying. And that also can be difficult to see from the eyes of someone in the situation. Maybe she doesn't know, doesn't realise that. Maybe it doesn't feel any different to her. Maybe she doesn't feel like that has changed her, and maybe it hasn't. That's the thing, you just don't know the real story. We had been bandmates for 9 years, experienced good times and not so good ones, as you would. I thought I knew them, but I was wrong. Still, everything that happened is not enough to make them evil in my eyes. Now comes a time to calm down and reflect upon all this. I need to put my feelings together again, and I promise to come back to public soon. I will announce a press conference where I'll be talking about my future plans. This doesn't mean that you should expect this conference to be an instrument to attack anybody. It won't. The wonderful music we created together won't be touched by recent events. Thanks a lot to all the people who are supporting me during these sad times. My family, friends, colleagues, and a great number of fans. I love you, and I really feel I have not failed you. Tarja. That's how interesting, how strange. I think it's a really bizarre situation to read about. And there's a lot of hurt there from both sides. There's a lot of things that could have been dealt with differently, but they weren't. And that's how that has come about, and that has happened. I don't know if there was more. Let me see. Also, the Helsinki show is available to view. It was filmed for a live DVD and released with the stinging title, it says here, The End of an Era. Now, almost 20 years later, the ex-bandmates are on friendly, or at least civil terms. Tarja reunited with now former Nightwish bassist Marco Hayatala for a tour, and the single Left on Mars, while she and Tuomas have exchanged emails over the years. Even though the wounds are still on both sides, things are better, Tuomas told us in 2022. In 2024, both Nightwish and Tarja left their beef long behind them and are more successful than ever. The band continued to climb with replacement singer Annette Olsen and current frontwoman Floor Jansen, while their former vocalist is remaining open-minded about the future. Asked in a 2022 interview with music critic Regis Tadu and Toplink music manager Paolo Baron if she would ever consider sharing the stage with their former band again, she gave old school fans something to hope for, replying, "I mean, I can't really close any doors in that sense. I'm not that kind of person any longer. I learned so many things in this life already. I take them as they are." I wonder if it made her think about things, if there were things that she felt were hurtful but maybe true. Perhaps she took a look at that, or took a look at herself and thought, how can I do better? Perhaps it wasn't true and she wanted to be mindful of other things. I don't know, but either way, it sounds kind of a bit of a shame that that's how it all happened. And I suppose it is a way of dealing with things. Whether or not we think that might be right or wrong is a different story, right? But I appreciate that this was the heads up that I had before watching Poet and the Pendulum. So I will be watching that next. I'll do a separate video on that because I've talked your ears off for 38 minutes almost. But that will be my next video, and I will be releasing that tomorrow. Tomorrow, at the time of my uploading this, I will release that tomorrow. And I will do a premiere, and you will see it now in my list of premieres. How about that? Alright, thank you so much for watching. I really am looking forward to going down the Nightwish rabbit hole, and apparently the Poet and the Pendulum is going to be a bit more clearer for context, because I understand it's got to have something to do with this. So yeah, thank you so very much. I'll see you for the next one, hopefully. Take care, and bye bye.